That's the kind of music that seems to have come very easily to Prokofiev, doesn't it? I mean, one hears it in the Seventh Sonata too.
Yeah, absolutely. That was actually the language which he probably invented, but he was using it probably too heavy. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. I think it's a pure Prokofiev, and probably it's one of his key phases. Because he has, of course, many phases, several phases, but it's his language, which he was using for all his life, for the rest of his life, this childish changing of the harmonies and obviously nasty modulations, you know, like this, or dirty harmonies, for example, like in the end of Romeo and Juliet, in this piece. He ended it. Typical him.
To what extent do you think that, since he did write so much of that piano music for himself, and particularly the sonata that we're going to talk about, that the piano music has a particular personal element which perhaps is not in the other music?
I think he's one of the rare composers who are pianist composers. Like Chopin, we can imagine him only with piano, for example. Scriabin mostly also pianist composer, and Prokofiev, of course, too. Stravinsky was much more symphonic composer. I mean, Prokofiev is wonderful in symphonies, but I think he always looked or he always thought in a way as a pianist when he was composing something. Even if you take all his symphony work and try to play it on the piano, it will be very comfortable. So it means that he thought as a pianist. And for example, Romeo and Juliet is much more comfortable playing, and it's better sound. I just want to give several examples. How comfortable is it to play? So pianistic, it is very comfortable. It is much more comfortable, I would say, than even to play something very, very simple from Tchaikovsky, like this thing. It's totally unpianistic, and even these octaves. Or this. I mean, it's awfully unpianistic, everything. He didn't mean to play, to write very difficult music.
Which of the movements have you decided to play of the Romeo?
The most attractive and almost, I would say, pop-like music, like Montaigu and Capulets.
what extent do you think the politics that surrounded him influenced the way in which he wrote? Because, I mean, after all the politics that surrounded Prokofiev must have been such an extraordinary thing for a creative artist to have to work under, to constantly be thinking of ways of expressing himself which were acceptable.
Definitely. For example, if we refer to the Eighth Sonata, we should first of all speak about Prokofiev as a human being. They're very different with Shostakovich. I would like to continue comparing Prokofiev and Shostakovich because they were in many ways competing with each other. And Shostakovich felt very upset with Prokofiev because he was very mean to Shostakovich, and he was very mean to everybody. Actually, he was the meanest person you could ever imagine. And of course, you can feel it in Suggestion Diabolique and this technique, in his composer's technique, because he's a nasty character in almost in every bit. Shostakovich was a very dramatic person, and he took everything very close to his heart. And as he was saying that all his works as memorials to the lost friends and to the dead people and to the massacre and Holocaust, which was during Stalin's time and during all the existence of the totalitarian state. This man, Prokofiev, was absolutely, on contrary to Shostakovich, with a totally different temperament. And in fact, he was much more close to Stravinsky temperament. So very raffinate and, as it's now fashionable, very cool. He was, of course, involved, but he was resisting until the Eighth Sonata, I would say. And this is the point where we're coming to the Eighth Sonata. So just let's try to remember briefly his life, his early childhood. He comes from an aristocratic family, a lot of money, early success. 3 years old, he is writing first opera, which is already performed in his house for him. So, very untroubled childhood, early recognition of his genius. Emigration in time, in 18, just after the revolution, before they start the policy of military communism, as they say, total massacre and Holocaust. And so he emigrated, and the revolution didn't touch him at all, and political situation, let's say he escaped, very successfully escaped this terrible situation, disastrous situation to which Russia came at this particular point. And he started very successful and very comfortable life for him on the West. He was doing a lot of premieres. 3 Oranges was written and successfully performed, and many other things. And he was performing as a pianist, he was performing as a conductor, he was visiting different cities, Chicago, Paris. So it was a very successful life.
Because that brings us to a very important point, doesn't it? That
Definitely.
Prokofiev, as a pianist,
Definitely.
writing music for himself.
Yeah, yeah. But as a very well-calculated person, he simply calculated, I'm just saying what he was, I'm just quoting what he was saying about his pianistic side of his talent. He said that it's just not profitable, because he says, preparing for one concert cost me 2 sonatas. Why should I prepare for the concert then? And he completely wanted to concentrate later on, by these reasons, on the composing. Which I interpret like it could be as a hate message to the future of Russia.